Hello and welcome to this introduction for governors on how to use the Hub, Bath and North East Somerset's online portal for sharing and selling services and training to schools and settings. My name is Spencer Cartwright and I'm going to be your guide for this evening, guiding you through how to use the Hub, showing you all its features. Please make sure that you've got your sound turned up so you can obviously hear me, and you should also be able to see on to the side of the screen a space for questions. If you've got any questions, if you're watching this live, please type the questions in and I'll do my very best to respond to them. If you're watching a recording of this, obviously it's not interactive, but I still hope you find it as informative as we hope those watching it live do. What I'm aiming to cover is obviously showing you the basics of the Hub, what it can do for you, where you can find information, and how you can make sure that you get the very best out of particular governor services are putting onto the Hub to make your role in schools that much easier. So let's get started. I'll just quickly, if I can remember how to do it, just show you myself. Here I am, just so that you aren't too shocked when I suddenly switch between screens and you suddenly get a screen full of me. So this is what I look like, but I'm going to spend most of the time hiding behind the screens as I show you the Hub. So let me go back to the presentation that I had before, and we'll share that one. And I'm just going to use a few slides to just show you a few basics about the Hub and just give you a little bit of background before we go into the Hub proper. So first of all, there we go. This is what I want to cover during the session. An introduction to the Hub, what its purposes and aims are. The Hub is split into two main areas: the public portal, which is the website that anybody can access and is visible to the whole world, and then the authenticated users view. This is what you see when you have an account and you can log into the Hub. Not everything in the Hub is visible to everybody. One of its key features is that by logging in, you get to see the information and the prices and the services that are available to your school. So it means it's a much less cluttered view, and it's giving you targeted information relevant to your role and to your school. Within that authenticated users view, we will be looking at three sort of main areas: the communication area, the training area, and the services area. Each of them has its own role, and depending on your role in school, one of them may be more important than the other. But I'll go through all of them in reasonable detail, but some of it might not be applicable because of your role, but also because of the settings that your user account has. And then finally, just to round off, we'll talk about how the Hub itself can help you in your role. One of the things that's great about IT is it can help automate some things, and it can make your job a little easier. So we'll look at how the Hub can notify you of things that might be of interest to you, and show you a few tips for searching so you can find stuff quickly. So that's the outline for the session. I hope that meets with your expectations. So the Hub is broken down into sort of four key areas, really. We have what we call articles on the Hub. These are well, they're articles. Basically, they can be news or documents, and this is where you're going to find probably the bulk of the information that's relevant to governors. Some of these articles might be visible on the public portal. Some of them might just only be available to those users who have got an authenticated account, and they only may also be available to those schools who have got an authenticated account in schools that subscribe to governor services. If your school subscribes to governor services, then more articles and news and documents will be available to you through the Hub as part of your package. Another aspect of the Hub is the training area. This is obviously where training courses and events are listed, and you can browse all of these courses as an authenticated user. They're also listed on the public portal, but only certain people within your school or establishment will be able to book you onto the training. By default, that will be your chair of governors or your clerk to the governors, but it may be that in your school roles are slightly different, so please do ask. Regardless of who can book you onto the course, only certain people will be able to authorise your attendance and payment, if applicable, on that course. But all the training events are visible to everybody to see, so if there's something that you see that is of interest, please make sure that your clerk or your chair knows that. The services area is probably the area that is least relevant to governors at this stage, but I'll briefly mention it when we get to it. And the services is where schools and settings can buy services from Bath, North East Somerset. For example, Governor Service itself can be purchased through the hub. So if you're interested in any of the services, you can browse parts of the information and then speak to whoever in school is applicable, and they can buy those services or packages through the hub. And then finally, we've got the tools. I've already mentioned that we've got alerts that can automate notifications, so you don't know what's going on, and also we look at some of the resources, something that's brand new that's literally just been launched on the hub today, so I'm very pleased to be able to share that with you. The resources section will be more populated than it is today. So those are the four main areas that we're going to be looking at: articles, training, services and tools. This is the URL, the web address of the hub, thehub.bathnest.gov.uk. So that fits in with the other Bathnest websites, so it's nice and easy to remember, but I do recommend that you put that into your bookmarks on your web browser. So once you've typed it in and you visited the hub for the first time, press Control B or Option B on your computer, and that normally adds it to your bookmark so you can find it next time. The other important address to make a note of is the email address, thehub@bathnest.gov.uk. If you've got any queries about your account or would like some assistance in how to use the hub, please do email us and we will do our very best to help you out. But please note that this email address is really just for inquiries and concerns or questions related to the hub and not to Governor Services. Governor Services have their own separate email address, and any governor related information or queries please direct to them. The hub is shared across a lot of services within the People and Communities Service of Bath, North East Somerset. It's not exclusively a service for governors. So please email thehub@bathnest.gov.uk for hub-related queries, but any governor-related queries about training or things, please direct those directly to governorservices@bathnest.gov.uk. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the hub. So I need to just do a quick bit of swapping around. So here I am again, and I'm just going to disappear again as we call up the website. There we go. So this is the hub website as it stands today, at thehub.bathnest.gov.uk, and this is our home page, and it's designed to make sure that you get a very quick overview of what's new, and you can quickly get to the areas of the site that is relevant to what you're looking for this day. So this home page, at the top we've got some sliders that just highlight some either recent things that have been added or things that we want to particularly draw your attention to. If you're interested in anything that you see on the slider, just click and you can go directly to that article that it relates to. Underneath, you can see the latest news items that have come through, and also the training events that are upcoming. And there's a link to the full training calendar on there as well. And we have a featured service at the moment, a health and safety advisory service, just to spotlight one of the services that Bath and North East Somerset can offer schools and settings. Along the top, we've got a menu bar, About Us, Services, Training Events, Communications and Contacts. But before I click into those, please do note that we do have in the top right a search box. So you can type in a search query. So I'll just type in governors and give it a few moments. It will then quickly search the site, and it will find things for you that are publicly available, and it will group them into different categories depending on what the item is. So we can see we've got 14 training events for governors, and there's 21 items in the communication area that have been tagged of being of interest to governors, and nothing in the contacts at the moment. So back to that menu bar. I'll go through them pretty much in order. The About Us just gives you a little bit of contact information about the hub as a service. This is a website. The email address we talked about before, the hub.bathnes.gov.uk. My email address and my colleague Lynn, who between the two of us, we manage the hub service. We've also got some attachments on this page that might you, depending on what your role in school is, as well as any useful links like the Bath North East Somerset's main website. The services page lists the services that schools can access from Bath North East Somerset, all listed in alphabetical order. So it's easy for you to find what it is you're looking for. And as you can see, we have a broken page there. We've got quite a list of items that we can look for. So let's go into one of these. Let's see if that page works again. No, that's not good, is it? I need to get that fixed. Let's go into anti-bullying instead then. So once you find a service that you're interested in, you can have read a little bit more about them, what benefits they can bring to your school, and over on the right hand side, who the main contact in the authority is for that service. You can view their communications and training events, and also there's some attachments listed as well, things that they feel are important for people to have ready access to, which is great. The training and events page lists all the training and events from all the services that are available to schools and settings. There's a handy calendar, as you can see on the right hand side. When a date is shaded in, it means something's happening on that date. And quite usefully, you can view the full planner and click through to the months that you're interested in to see all the various different training that's available. So if you remember you've got a training event that you've booked into for a certain date, you could browse to the date and find out what that is. All the training events listed obviously are clickable, as they are on the main page. And when you see something that's of interest to you, you can just click through. So here we've got something from Governors, Clark's Briefing. You'll get to know the Governor's logo as we go through the presentation. So I'll click that, and here's a simple page about the class briefing, the outline, a bit of description of that, the session, the date, and the venue, who the trainer is, and if there were any attachments, like an agenda, they would appear at the bottom of the page on the right hand side there. To book a course, as I say, not everybody has the rights to book a course, but if you were to click that, it takes you to a login page, because you do need to log in order to book a course, but we'll look at booking a little bit later. The communication feed, very similar to the training and events feed, lists all the articles that are currently on the system in date order, starting with the most recent, and you can just click through those. So here's another Governor Services one, the training brochure, and not much descriptions added to this one because the title really says it all, but as you can see over here on the right, we've got training brochure download. Click on that, you can download the document and see all the training that's being offered for 2015-2016 for things. And then the final section is contacts. So again, here's all the services, and should you need any information about who to contact for these, so here's Governor Services, you can click on that and you can find, in this case, our post address, the email for Governor Services, and so on. There is also a schools and settings page on the contacts where you can see schools listed. Let's just click on one, and you've got basic details about the school that's there. And there is a sign-up form if you haven't got an account and would like one. By first instance, please speak to your clerk or chair, but you could also fill in this form, and that will come through to the hub email, but we will need to verify your accounts with your school and with Governor Services before you're granted access. It's not an automatic process, because obviously we need to make sure the right people are getting access to the information that's relevant to the school. So that's basically the public portal, the website for the hub. The best thing to do is to go and have a click and have a hunt around. Don't forget the search box in the top right hand corner. That can save you an awful lot of time. That was both there in training and communications was the search facilities in those two pages, and they both work in the same way. And those are over on the left hand side, where you could enter some keywords if you've got an idea of what you're searching for, a date range, a category and roles and so on. You could use those to narrow your search down. I'll be looking at searching in a little while when we log into the service, because that's going to be a key area to make sure that you're not spending a lot of time hunting around for stuff. The search and the filtering can save you an awful lot of time. So that's our public portal at the moment, and I'll log in now to the site. You can see over on the right hand side we've got a login button, so I shall click that, and I've already filled in my details and I've asked it to remember my username, so I'm going to log in. It does help if you retype the password. Let's try that again. There we go. Right. Now, when you first of all log into the hub, you will go to your school. So forgive me while I jump to my example primary school. This is my pretend school. So you'll see when you log in a screen that looks very much like this. You've got at the moment a home page that's like a dashboard that tells you what you need to know. So I've got one message has come in for the site, and there's been 10 articles that have been published that I've been asked to take responsibility for. I can see the planner looking blank for today, but like we saw on the training page on the public portal, I can click through to a full planner, and when that loads, it shows me actually a little bit more than just the training. This will actually show me any training that I've been booked on in a different colour, pink, any training bookings that anybody in my school has been booked on, any appointments that have been arranged through the hub system, or if there's been any articles that have got an action date. Maybe it's a survey or a form that needs to be sent back by a certain date. They will also be flagged in the calendar as well. So the full planner is a very useful tool, and to be honest, it's quite often overlooked. The other things you'll see on the home page is a repeat of the sliders we saw on the public portal, and things that the school has recently purchased through the system. And right at the bottom, very easy to overlook, is a quick way of jumping to any services that you're interested in. So let's jump to Governor Services. And what you see on this page is a simple version of the page that you saw on the public portal with the details and articles and so on. And if you have got the authority to buy, you could go through and buy by services. Which leads very nicely onto the second tab in the menu, the Services tab. So this is similar to the Public Portal tab in that it lists all the services that are available to your school. Again, alphabetically by default, or you could change this from categories to A to Z to purchase and so on. And when you click through, as we've just seen with Governor Services, you get a page about that service, and then things that you can buy from that school. So here I could buy the package from health and safety. This one is being dealt with via a quote. So if I was ticking that box, I would need to enter some information about the quote for, and send that off to that service, and they would then get back to me. Other services offer obviously a variety of packages and services to schools, and you can always download a PDF brochure which will be tailor-made to your school, listing all the packages and services available to your school, and show you the relevant prices for your school. Some schools also like the quick buy form, which very simply lists all the services that are available, and you can quickly go and buy. So if I've got an NQT package, I could buy that in this case for £165 and add it to the basket. Very quick and very easy. But as I said in the introduction, this might not be applicable to your role. So depending on what rights you've got, you may see the services tab, you may not. So moving on to the tab, what you've got there is a little bit more than we saw on the public portal. We've got in the blue boxes along the top some training that we're highlighting. So in this case, calculating confidence or train the trainer, some Stonewall training, or some end of key stage 2 training. Scrolling on down, we can see a list of forthcoming training, and this training is filtered, as you can see there in red, by 30 days. So this is only 2 courses that are coming up in the next 30 days. Because of the time of recording this session, it's coming near to the end of term, end of December, so not much is going to be happening over the Christmas break. But I want to draw your attention to the filtering and searching over on the left hand side. You can see the button is click next to next 30 days, which is why the right hand side is only showing us the next 30 days. If I change that to all and then click search, we'll then get all the training that's forthcoming. As you can see, there's a lot more that goes into January and February and so on. If you do know exactly what you're looking for, you can use the text search filter, or we've got the more filters we can use, where you might want to filter things that have been tagged of interest to Chair of Governors or Clerk to the Governors, applicable to your particular site, or you could just list all the things that are coming from Governor Services, or look for certain topics. So at the moment I'm just doing all training filtered by provider, in this case Governor Services, so I can quickly see all what's being provided by Governor Services. Again, we can download all this as a PDF brochure by using the link up there on the right hand side. When you see something that's of interest, so let's take the top one there, looked after children, clicking on the view more link takes you through to what I call the electronic flyer for the brochure, which gives you an outline and the description and so on. Over on the right hand side you've got date and time and the venue, and at the bottom there how to book, how much it costs, how many delegates, you fill in the change the number and click request. Again, that might not be available to you if you don't have the rights to book. So normally that is just clerks and chairs to governors. Regular governors won't see that, they'll just see the details of the course. But if you are able to book, enter the number of places you wish to book, click request, and at the next stage you'll be asked to enter some names of those people. One of the guidance sheets that were in the About Us section on the public portal was how to book delegates onto training. So if booking delegates onto training is part of your role, please go to the public portal, click on About Us, and over on the right hand side download the booking delegates onto training guide sheet, and that will help you with that. So moving on to the communication tab, as I said in the introduction, this is probably the key area for schools, and then certainly governors in your role. This is where all the articles are listed, all the news items, all the documents are listed. Again, we've got some sliders at the top there of things that have been recently added or being highlighted. And then, like the training, we have a long list of all the articles that have been published in chronological order, starting with most recent at the top. But again, like the training, this has been filtered by 30 days. These are only the things that have been published or put onto the hub within the last 30 days. So if you know what you're looking for and you can't see it, it might be that you need to change the filtering from 30 days to all. So that, again, that's achieved by ticking in the box over on the left hand side, and then click search to change the filtering, and then you can browse all the documents that have ever been listed, which is quite a few. And that's one of the reasons why by default it's listed by 30 days, because it would take a very long time for the page to load all of them all the time. Again, you can, if you've got a keyword that you know you're looking for, you can use the text search box, or if I expand more filters, I can find things that have just been tagged of interest to chairs of governors or different categories, and I can expand these, things to do with attendance and behaviour and so on. Or for providers, so again, if I type in governor services and click on that and then click search, this will just show me everything that Governor Services has put on there, and sort of all listed. The unread and take responsibility buttons that you'll find under each article. Unread and read works just like your items. Once you've looked at it, it gets changed to read. And again, on the filtering, you can see that you could just filter items by things that you have read or haven't read. The Take Responsibility button will indicate to other users in your establishment that you have decided to take action and take responsibility for that one. And some schools use that very effectively. Also, up in the right-hand side there, you've got View in Grid format. And what that can do for you is list all the articles in perhaps a slightly easier way to view. And again, you've got at the top there filtering options, just as you had before, but it's all in one place. So that might help you find what you're looking for a little bit more carefully. I'll just go back to communication. So calls are only one aspect of communication. They're the documents, they're the news. Also listed in this section are your messages. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see I've got one message. This is not intended to replace email, and the messages are intended for a wide school audience. It might be from a service provider just asking people to enter delegate names into a course booking. It might be a message your school has sent asking about arrangements for something. Nothing confidential, nothing sensitive. It's not intended for that at all. So on the whole, the messaging system is probably an area that most governors won't use, but you might want to use it to ping a message to governor services, just about something very general, maybe your subscription or maybe something that you're looking to find but you can't find it. The resources section, as it says, is coming soon. This is the thing that I mentioned right at the beginning that actually came online today. So I'm actually going to click on that and show you briefly what this is looking like. It's obviously new today, as I said. I've just had a quick play with it to give you an example of what it might look like. But I certainly see in future that governor services in particular will be making quite extensive use of this feature, because it does make finding documents and articles and news much easier. And having it all in one place. So resources, think of them as pages. We can have pages on the hub which are a collection of articles and links and things all in one place about one particular topic. So the example that I created is to do with Key Stage 2 assessments, which you can see here, and again we'll have sliders on the top drawing attention to them, and as the bank of resource pages builds up, we've got an alphabetical listing here, so you can see them all listed and do a search. But since there's only one at the moment, that's the one we're going to look at. And you can see I've also got a favourites list. So once you've found a resources page that you particularly like, use the pin to pin it, and then every time you come to this resources section, you can find it nice and easily. So I'm going to go to my favourites that I've only got at the moment, Key Stage 2 assessments, and these pages contain an awful lot of information in lots of different formats, depending on what it is the service provider wants to collate in one place. So for this particular thing, I've got a bit of description, but you can see I've got a list of web links linking to government departments that relate to Key Stage 2 assessments. Underneath that lists the training events that will be coming up. We can put that in there. Over on the right hand side, I've got other useful links. I could also list documents to download. I could also embed YouTube clips, Twitter feeds, all sorts of different resources related to that topic, and I could also link to other pages as well. So certainly for governor services, I'm sure they'll be exploring how they could use these pages, perhaps for having one page about policies, or one page to collect everything for new governors together, and I'll be speaking to them in due course. So hopefully if you are watching this on recording, when you explore that area, you'll see more than what I have at the moment. So that was resources in the communications tab. Also, we've got groups there, which are messaging boards. To be honest, they're not used very much at the moment, but they may be something that's used more in future. But if you've ever used a bulletin board on the web, very easy to use for those. So that's the communication area. Again, have a play around with it. Like a lot of these things, the more familiar you are with it, the easier you'll find it is to use. We also have a reporting section. I'm not going to go into this in any detail because, as you can see from the titles there, there's several reports the hub can run, and depending on your role, these reports may be of use to you, and the easiest thing to do is to quite simply have a play with them, see what information they give you and if it's useful to your role. Again, depending on what your role is in school and what your account allows you to do, you may or may not see this tab. The same with the setup tab. Some people have the ability to manage the users, most people don't, so you won't necessarily see that tab. Also on this menu bar, you can see the shopping basket. Again, some of you will see that, some of you won't. If you do book any training, that gets entered into the shopping basket, but training isn't confirmed until the shopping basket has been checked out, and only certain people in school have the ability to check out the shopping because obviously that triggers authorization for payment. Even if something is of zero cost, it still needs to go through that process. So it's worth finding out, if you are responsible for booking training, who it is in your school that needs to check things out of shopping baskets. And then finally, I did say, talking about the things that can make the hub work for you. When you click on your name, you can change your profile. So if you change your email address, you can change it and so on, fill in details and so on. That's all there, just like any other system where you've got an account. Your My Training page will start listing any training that you've attended, and you can also manually add any training you've attended. So if you want to manage your own training records, that's very useful, and it's quite useful for clerks as well, because they can then sort of see what training they've been on, but also they can you can print it out for your clerk so you can show what training you've been on. But the alerts section is quite important. So My Alerts, again, depending on what your role is, this will look slightly different. But the main one here is down at the bottom, where you can select things for your areas of interest. So I might want to look at articles and training for not necessarily all categories. I might want to select some of the categories. And if I browse the categories, you can see they're all listed here. So it might be that I just want to know about things to do with governors that have been tagged for governors, but I also might have a particular interest in a particular area. So maybe I've got the English subject brief, so I'll also tick curriculum and maybe just anything to do with Key Stage 1 and 2 if I'm in a primary school. And you can see they're listed up here. And do I want to be notified of anything that's been flagged of interest to those from all providers or selected providers? So again, it might be I just want to be notified of those things that have come from government services, or it might be I'm interested in knowing from school improvement. So you can tailor these as you see fit. You can always come back and change them if you would like to. And you can also change over on the left here the frequency of these alerts. Do you want them daily or weekly? I would not recommend as soon as possible, because you'll get one email for every single item that gets tagged. Daily will just give you a summary, usually arriving about 9 o'clock-ish in the morning. Weekly sent out Monday morning, usually. So the alerts can help you. Don't forget, once you've clicked all that, to click Save at the bottom to make sure all those have been saved. So that makes the hub very easy to use, because it will then ping you an email, so you don't have to be logging in all the time. So that's just a quick overview of the hub, the sections of the public portal and the authenticated portal as well. I've had no questions. The ones that have come up, I've answered as we've gone along. So that's all to say, because all those questions have been answered, which is fantastic. I hope that's been useful for you. If you do have any queries or you want any more information, then please do contact us at thehub.gov.uk. Here I am again. Sorry about that. But if I just bring up the email address for you again, there we go. So contact us at thehub@bathnest.gov.uk, and if you've got a query about Governor Services itself, then please contact Governor Services at bathnest.gov.uk. I hope that's been useful. Thank you for listening, and I hope you use the hub and you find it very useful in your role. Thank you, and take care.